the end of the day, he's won a pennant. He's been to 3 ALCSs. I don't love his situational managing, but the team does win when he's the manager.
You are Locked On Yankees, your daily New York Yankees podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Yankees, which is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for making us your first listen every day. I'm Stacey Gotsoulias. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Download the app or head to FanDuel.com to get started. With me, as usual, my co-host, Brian McKeon. Brian, happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Yankees news dumped on a Friday.
Before we get started, don't forget, subscribe to the podcast on whichever podcasting platform you prefer. Subscribe to our channel on YouTube, like our videos, hit the bell so you're notified when our videos go live. Coming up on today's show, it's Fan Mail Friday, and we answer your burning questions about the Yankees and anything else that you ask us. But first, the big news. Aaron Boone extended through 2027.
Yeah,
Here we go.
What I find weird, Stacey, is this was only a 2-year extension. So not that crazy of a faithful extension, I'd say, given you see most managers nowadays get more than 2 years. So that was a little strange on my part. Also, I just want to say this. The amount of Yankee fans online today that were losing their minds that they gave Boone an extension. Did you not see this coming? Like, I get it. I don't love Boone returning either. I don't want him to be the manager long-term here either. But did you not see this? Did you not have time to prepare for this one? I mean, you saw this one coming from a mile away. Sometimes it's a little easier to prepare for things when you see it coming from so far away. I don't love Aaron Boone as a manager. That's been very obvious for years. You can follow my takes on Aaron Boone back years at this point, and I haven't liked him as a manager. At the end of the day, he's won a pennant. He's been to 3 ALCSs. I don't love his situational managing, but the team does win when he's the manager. It does. Not World Series, but it wins games. He's got multiple 100-win seasons. He's got, one less than 90-win season as a manager of the Yankees. He wins games. I don't love him as a manager, but it's really hard for me to justify him not getting this extension, to be quite honest with you. I just got to be honest,
Well, yeah, and it's not like they didn't warn us. They told everyone it was going to happen, and they were looking to do it before opening day. I was actually more surprised by the positive responses that I was seeing on
Oh, I didn't see that.
Instagram. Yeah, like there were a lot of positive responses on Instagram, which I was kind of surprised by. I was expecting the other people to be freaking out about it. I mean, I jokingly said something that people have responded to, but yeah, the amount of positive response was, I was actually very shocked by that.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I saw a lot of positivity from national media and stuff, but I didn't see a lot from the fan base. The fan base to me was overwhelmingly negative. And, my response to that was just, did you not see this? Like, did you not see this coming?
Right.
Like, I knew he was getting an extension. They basically told you that going into the year. So, and again, Stacey, I don't. We both don't love him as a manager, but is there an argument really to not justify this? I mean, the Yankees have the evidence and numbers to justify giving him the extension. We don't love him as a manager, but he's got the numbers to justify the extension. He just does.
Right. So this was his quote. I'm just excited we were able to knock it out and get it out of the way. As I've said to you guys before, no other place I want to be, no other team, organization, group of people that I want to be doing this with. To get to do it in New York in front of passionate New York Yankee fans, this is the end result that I certainly wanted. He also said, I don't like that we haven't won a championship yet, so that bothers me, but I know what I signed up for when I got into this. I wouldn't want it any other way. The fact that it matters as much as it does here, and that there's such a high standard and there's so many expectations, that beats the alternative so much.
Yeah, no, it's the right response.
Yeah. Then Judge said, The number one thing is the care and passion he has for everyone in this room. We've got so many different personalities that come through here and different egos, different guys that have won MVPs, won Cy Youngs, this and that. To bring us all together, he does such a good job at that. And then finally, Cashman on Boone. I know that if he wasn't the Yankees manager, it would be a feeding frenzy for him to be a manager that's coveted elsewhere.
It's the truth. I mean, a team would be all over signing him. Whether it's a team in a smaller market like Cincinnati or Kansas City, someone would be all over getting him. He has the track record of winning games, so teams are all over that. Would he succeed there? I can't answer that question, but someone would be all over signing him, that's for sure.
Right. So that's the big news of the day and the week, I guess, because it ended up happening on Thursday, right before the weekend and right before the first spring training game of the year. And did we find out who was pitching? I think we did.
No,
Right?
but Boone did say that Goldschmidt, Judge, a lot of guys that are going to be basically the entire starting infield is going to be starting in this game. So we'll see about that too. That's going to be
actually, we do know who's pitching. It's Marcus Stroman.
Oh, wow. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. All right. So, as I said, it is Fan Mail Friday. And if you're new here, we do Fan Mail Friday every Friday. We have the Locked On Yankees Insiders Club. The insiders get top priority. And we always start with insider Betty. But this week, Betty and insider David F. basically asked the same question. So Betty asked two, and it went, if Stanton can't play by opening day, who will be the main DH? And who will be our biggest threat in the East, Baltimore or Boston? And then David asked, what team do you see as the biggest challenger for the Yankees in winning the AL East? And he questioned Red Sox. So you can answer the first question about Stanton. I don't think there's going to be a main DH. I think it's going to be...
They're going to use it as a rest spot.
Yeah.
They're going to use it as a spot to get guys off their feet in the field constantly. And I think primarily Judge. Now, analytically, they're obsessed with getting Judge to a certain number per year. I don't understand that because, again, if he gets 10 days off in April, I don't think that means that it hits the number of 152 and they're good for the rest of the year. That makes no sense to me. But whatever. That's what that's their plan, is to not use that for Stanton. And I would say this. I think throughout the off season, this answer has changed of who's their biggest threat in the American League East. And I think going into the season where it originally was Baltimore, and quite frankly, should have been Baltimore, Stacey, I think it's Boston. I think Boston had one of the best off seasons in all of baseball. I really think it's Boston.
I do too. I'm actually afraid of the Red Sox right now because I feel like people are underestimating them, and I think they're going to do a lot better than people think they're going to do. Or I'm saying people. I'm really thinking projection systems at this point. I really think the Red Sox are going to be better than people expect, and exactly what you said. I really thought the threat was going to be Baltimore. I thought with the new ownership, they were going to go all in this offseason, try to get as many people as they could. They had the money to do it. They have the core of young players to surround with free agents if they wanted to. And they barely got, they got a couple of people, but it wasn't a good.
No, they didn't. They made no splash. And
what do you mean, Charlie Morton's not a splash?
Exactly. That's my point, though. Like that's their big acquisition. They didn't make a move that's notable that comes across the ticker. I think it's crazy. To be quite honest with you, their payroll should be pushing $270 million this year. Yeah. I mean, legitimately, this is the time to go in on a championship. This is the time to go all in. The fact that they didn't do that at all and not make any significant upgrades, they got nobody. I mean, let's be clear. They got no one. It is, if I was a Baltimore radio host, I'd be losing my mind on a constant because it is embarrassing that you buy a team and just do nothing in an offseason. I don't understand it. And it's not even like they were the Blue Jays who are at least involved in every player. They're not even talking to people. They're not even picking up the phone. That one's crazy. That's the answer. To me, the biggest threat is Boston, but the biggest threat should be Baltimore. There's no reason why it isn't Baltimore. But I got to be honest with you. I think Baltimore will still be competitive, but I think Baltimore's going to win like 88, 87 games, something in that range. And I think the Yankees, they lost one of the best pitchers in baseball. They lost the ace of their staff.
Right.
And I think the Yankees will be pushing 100 wins. And I think Boston might win like 95 games this year. I think they're that good, especially with their pitching staff.
Don't forget, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button on our videos, hit the notifications so you know when our videos go up. And if you'd like to be part of next week's Fan Mail Friday, post a reply underneath the pinned comment on our videos Monday through Thursday on YouTube. Ask us anything, or you can join the Locked On Yankees Insiders Club where you get top priority and your questions are answered usually in segment 1 unless major news breaks and it's pushed back to segment 2. The link is in the description, and it isn't only for Fan Mail Friday. You get text from us. You can text us questions and comments. There's a 14-day free trial, and it's a good time. Coming up next, more Fan Mail Friday questions from our insiders.
When the game tips off, the NBA action is just getting started, and there's no better place to get in on it than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. With FanDuel, you can place live bets throughout the game, so even if you miss the opening tip-off or you want to bet on a fourth-quarter comeback, you can stay in the action. And if you're looking for a bigger payout, you can even combine your live bets into same-game parlays. I love using FanDuel's live betting feature because it keeps every moment of the game exciting. Whether I'm backing my team for a late-game rally or picking a player to hit a clutch 3, I never feel like I missed my chance. Plus, the app is easy to use, and when you win, you get paid out instantly. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel. It's an official sports betting partner of the NBA.
Welcome back. We're back with insider questions, and I wanted Brian to answer this one specifically because I thought it was interesting. And it's from insider Ethan, and he says, if you guys could own any team other than the Yankees, what team would you pick, and what would you do if budget was not an issue? Would you relocate the team, change the uniforms, build a new stadium, fire the GM or manager, etc.?
I mean, I would definitely fire the GM and manager because in my own fantasy world, I'm buying the team and running the team.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's a no-brainer to me. I'm absolutely doing that. I'm going as Steve Cohen as possible, if not more involved, which is probably a recipe for disaster. But I'm still doing that. Where would I move the team to, though? I don't know if I'd move a team. I'd love to own an expansion team. I mean, if I could own an expansion team and then put it in Vegas, boom, I'd do it immediately in a heartbeat. But I don't know if I'd buy the Oakland Athletics. Because I don't want to own the A's. If it's an active team right now, I'm owning the Milwaukee Brewers. I have so much respect for that franchise. I love the stadium. I've been there before for games. I love the Milwaukee Brewers. Love the fan base too. I would love to bring a championship to Milwaukee. If not, I would own an expansion team that plays in Las Vegas. I mean, that's my favorite city other than New York. So I would absolutely 1,000% move a team to Vegas. And yes, I'd be everything. I would be the manager of the team, the GM. Heck, I'm pitching opening day. Like I want to be involved, a hands-on owner as humanly possible. Maybe I'll back off in a year or two when we lose a bunch of games, but I'm Connie Mack out there, damn it. I am. Stacey, any team that you would want to own?
I would probably want to own a team like the Rockies where the owner never does anything because I'd want to go in and change the culture kind of thing.
But you'd keep them in Colorado?
I think I would because I think the people in Denver would go to games if they had a team that they'd want to root for. Because I know people who go to Rockies games, and I think that if you give them a team to cheer for, they would fill that stadium.
Good sports town too, so I'd agree with you. Yeah. Let's go to Bobby Santoro, the next insider. Bobby's going to ask, with Stanton on the shelf, are there any wild cards the team can add short term that can provide pop to the lineup? He doesn't mean wild card teams, he means wild card players. Yes. I'm sure they don't do anything knowing them, but what would your guys' opinions be on who they could bring in? Bob, Stacey, you got to attack this one first. I'm sure they wouldn't do anything. You can't make that comment after this offseason.
Right. But they might not do anything because they have people, like we said with Betty's question, the DH spot for now is going to be a round robin of people who either need the rest or maybe someone they want in the lineup that they're not going to put in defensively. Like maybe they want to put Grisham in because he's a lefty and they're facing someone that maybe he has a history of hitting against. So they put him in as the DH kind of thing. I don't think they're going to just bring someone in to be
no
DH.
timetable doesn't mean that it's necessarily a long timetable on Stanton. He could be back at the end of April, and then what's the point of going and acquiring a player? So yeah, I don't think they're going to make much. There's not going to be a roster change here.
Right. I agree with that. I think it's I I think it would be too much right now for them to bring someone in. And again, I really think it's going to be a round robin DH sort of situation. And they'll give
Completely agree.
Judge days where he can be the DH, and they'll move Bellinger to right, put someone in center like Grisham, let's bring Grisham back to it. And maybe he plays center. So there are a lot of options. This isn't all right. It's not great that Stanton's hurt, but it's not the end of the world right now because they can put other people in that.
Rather now than September.
Right. They have time to fix things. Thank you for the question, Bobby. Up next, Insider Casey says, besides winning the division and World Series, what expectations do you have for the band? Realistic and fantasy.
I sound crazy saying this because I don't think it's a realistic expectation most years, but winning the American League. Honestly, they did it last year, and they are the best team in the American League. They are. I don't think there's anyone that's quite frankly very close to them. But the Astros getting significantly worse. I think the second best team in the American League right now is the Texas Rangers. I legitimately believe that. So the Yankees should win the American League this year, and that should be the expectation. Let's go to Ruben. He says, do you think Ben Rice will be the DH for now? And how do you think Jason Dominguez will do playing left field in Fenway?
I think Ben Rice is going to be the backup catcher.
It looks like it.
And play on the days when Austin Wells isn't playing. By the way, Austin Wells did swing the bat on Thursday.
Oh, hallelujah. We didn't need to overreact.
Yes, we did not need to overreact. And I think Jason Dominguez, that'll be a learning curve, but it is for everyone who plays left field in the majors. I think there are people who play the outfield for 20 years who have problems with the green monster. So, what I mean? Like, there are guys who are considered good outfielders who you never know how the ball's going to shoot off that wall, and you see guys struggling with it. Like, you have to play there half the year to really learn how to play that wall. So I am not going to kill Jason Dominguez if something happens where a ball takes a strange bounce and he's running all over for it, because we've seen
the positive with the green monster too is the fact that it's not a lot of ground out there. It's more about dealing with ricochets and stuff. So you generally want to put a worse fielder where the monster is, because it makes more sense. The only thing he has to deal with is ricochets. So I think he'll be fine. Other than the rare thing when a ball hits the scoreboard in a weird way, you'll be absolutely fine with him out there.
Right. Our final question of this segment comes from insider Aaron L., who asks, which NRI, non-Reister invitee, if you don't know what that means out there, are you most excited to see this spring training, if anyone?
I guess Dom Smith, because they seem to have this weird confidence in him that I didn't know there was out there. So I'd say that. I think there's now a realistic chance, if he hits really well, and that's a huge if in spring training, that he actually makes the roster, even if it's for a month. He might make it anyway, just because of the Stanton injury. If Stanton's going to start on the IL, he might actually make the roster. So we'll see how he looks. There is a little pop in that bat. So, we'll see. I guess right now that's the most intriguing name. That's a non-roster invitee. Carlos Carrasco is the other big name, but Stacey, I don't think he's going to make the roster, to be honest with you. There's too much pitching on this roster at this point. So
for now,
I think right now it's Dom Smith.
Yeah, I think so too. I would agree with that. So coming up next, it's YouTube question time. We're going to answer the questions that you also kindly left under our pinned comments for the week.
Looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious? Crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving is 6 grams of protein, giving over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help keep you feeling fuller for longer. Personally, I love the no shells variety. It's the perfect grab and go snack for busy days. Whether I'm snacking at my desk doing work for the show or just a quick protein boost, they're always my go-to. And if you love cracking open every shell for that satisfying crunch, the in-shell options are a classic favorite. Wonderful Pistachios is a complete protein, providing all 9 essential amino acids. Whether you're running between meetings or dropping off the kids, Wonderful Pistachios are the snack that works as hard as you do. Get snacking and get cracking with the snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. So, Stacey, our YouTube questions for the week. First one comes from Darrenelli 4182. He says, "Hi, Stacey and Brian. Do you understand this new rule about not running through bases? And if so, can you explain it? I'm a big fan of the show." Is there a new rule when it comes to not running through the bases? I can't hear you, Stacy. You're muted.
Hold on.
Ha! I actually got to be honest with you. Let's pause FanDuel Friday and get rid of it for 2 seconds. This is my favorite moment in the history of Locked On Yankees. Stacy got caught with her mic still on mute. I mean, I have made that mistake for all you Locked On Yankee nerds who know the behind the scenes. I have made that mistake about 7,000 times out of 200 shows. So I am so happy that just happened right now.
You know why I did that? Because I had my phone on my computer and it has these grippy, sticky things, and I didn't want their rips sound to come out while you were doing your wonderful Pistachios read. So I muted my mic and then I forgot.
Whatever the reason was, I'm happy.
Yeah. I didn't know about this rule. I didn't know this.
No, to be honest with you, I don't either. I know this was instituted a few years ago that you're not allowed to go through the guy covering the base. But I don't know if there's a rule where you can't go through the bag. Of course you can, but if you do, you're out. So I don't think there is necessarily a new rule added. If certain, I didn't hear about it, and I listen to all baseball news, so I don't think it's that big of a deal.
Yeah, I mean, I understand why they have that rule in place because, man, if you watch highlights from the '70s when the Yankees and the Royals were battling in games, and people were literally taking each other out at second base and shooting them into left field because they hit them so hard.
2015, Chase Utley. I mean, he broke the guy's leg at second base. I love that kind of stuff, but it's a thing of the past, unfortunately.
Yeah. Next question comes from It's Over. Okay. It says, Ken says, enough of the Boone and Cashman hate fest. Cashman is the longest tenured GM in baseball, 25 plus years. If you suck, you don't keep your job for that long. Boone has one of the highest winning percentages in MLB baseball. He had the best team he has ever had and got to the World Series. If everyone is so fast to fire Cashman and Boone, who do you replace them with? No one ever seems to have the answer to that question.
Yeah, I'll answer it with this. Sometimes things just get stale. It's not me saying Brian Cashman is a terrible GM, but your comment alone on him being the GM for 25 plus years is the reason why I think they need to shake it up. You gave me the answer to my question in your question. I think he's been the GM for too long and things have gotten stale. That's why you need to move on, not because he's a bad GM. And I reiterated it with Boone and I'll reiterate it with Cashman. If Cashman was released by the Yankees tomorrow, he'd have a job within 48 hours. He would. Someone would fire their GM to bring Cashman in immediately. It's not me saying he's not a good GM. I just think it's run its course with Brian Cashman. And to Aaron Boone, I acknowledge the winning percentage. I told you I wasn't surprised with the extension, and I think he deserved it. Overall, for what he's accomplished with the Yankees, he deserved it. I don't like his in-game management style, and I don't like the way that he handles the media after games. That is my preference for what I want in a manager. But I am not going to sit here and act like Aaron Boone hasn't had success and doesn't deserve it. The hate comes from the way that he handles things on and off the field, not to do with the way that he wins games and his records and stuff like that. So I think you have it a little confused with how I feel, Ken, just being honest. Let's go to Dan Smith, H2X. He says, Greg Nettles, Hall of Fame worthy? Also, should number 9 be retired for him? He was the captain of the Yankees after Munson.
No and no.
Yeah,
I love Greg Nettles. Greg Nettles was my first favorite player as a kid growing up. Before it was Greg Nettles, then it was Dave Righetti, then it was Don Mattingly. That was the order that it happened in. And as much as I love Greg Nettles, and as much as he was a vacuum at third base and was incredible at third base, I don't think he's Hall of Fame worthy. I think if he would have gotten in already, he would have, right?
Yeah, I completely agree. He's not going to get it at this point. And number 9 is Roger Maris's number. And
right.
While Roger Maris wasn't a Yankee for, that long in his career, he does have one of the more historical seasons in the history of baseball. You're not going to add on a double. They already have double with 8 with Torrey and Yogi, so they're not going to add another double with number 9. So I actually am a little surprised that Greg Nettles' number isn't retired. But yeah, at this point, it's not going to get retired, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, number 9 was my number in elementary school when we
so
had.
I wear number 9 in soccer. Yeah.
Yeah. We had our textbooks had numbers on the side, and I was always number 9. And the boy I liked was always number 12, Joe Mackey. Hi, Joe Mackey.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah. These are things I remember from 40 years ago. Please. Thank you for the question, Dan. The next one is from Kevy 2 times 313. Most interesting spring training technique or strategy, for example, throwing footballs, etc. Visited Yankees spring training in Tampa and saw a lefty throwing a javelin. Wondered if that's part of the new warm up or training techniques. I, I was like envisioning a javelin going the wrong way and hitting someone on the Yankees. Like, you know what I mean? Like we'll be hearing about,
Well, with all the injuries, I mean, who knows? I mean, Boone came out the other day and said that Clark Schmidt has a back thing, whatever that means. We're just creating new diagnoses at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, the javelin's a popular one. The resistance band throwing has become a popular one. Weighted balls are a big one now. There's all new weird techniques. I'm not even gonna sit here and pretend to act like I know what these guys are doing out there. It's a bunch of weird stuff. Clearly it works, and there's science behind it. But yeah, the javelin thing and it's heavy too, apparently.
Yeah, those
Paul
are yeah,
Skeens uses it.
Yeah, those are heavy.
You want to see a weird guy? Look at Paul Skeens warm-ups. He wears like a weighted vest out there and like
that's
with the javelin. Too, yeah. It's so crazy.
Yeah, my brother refs track and field meets, and I'm like, he's like, oh no, I'm always looking out just in case, because it's high school kids. You never know what they're gonna do with discus and javelin, and you got to keep your eyes open because you never know, something might be coming at you from a different direction.
Let's go to Matt Vincelli, 37. Why not bring Rizzo back on a minor league deal?
Because
he's done.
And because they got Paul Goldschmidt.
Yeah, I feel bad because Rizzo's a good guy.
Yeah, I feel bad too because it's not his fault. It's that play ruined the end of his career. It hurt his head so much that it ruined the end of his career. It's sad that it was such a fluke thing. Like, it didn't even look that bad when it first happened, and you can't imagine something like that happening to him and having it affect him for so long. Yeah, it's just sad.
Yeah, it's part of being a professional athlete, and he also is in his upper 30s. So I mean, his career was coming to an end anyway. But yeah, it is sad. But no one's shown any interest in picking him up. I think his career maybe just over.
Yeah. And then we have one last question. It's actually from the wife of an insider, and I figured I'd tack this on to the end of the show if we had enough time. Right. So this is from David F's wife, Julie, and she asks, do players' families typically travel with them to spring training? I believe that some of them do, but I think if they have school-age children, they probably don't because the kids need to stay in school.
Weirdly
if they're
enough,
not in Arizona or Florida.
Weirdly enough, a lot of them have houses in Florida. Florida is one of the most popular states where professional athletes actually live. Yeah. So a lot of them have houses down there, so a lot of them see them. But from what I know, a lot of players buy condos down there and have condos and just keep the condo close to their spring training facility. And if they don't need it anymore, they get traded, they sell the condo because real estate moves so quickly for professional athletes and they have so much money that a lot of them, when I'm doing that, they're not staying in Holiday Inns. I can guarantee you that.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, like, if you have a kid who's elementary school, you're not going to take them out for spring training if you're not living around the spring training area. Like the guys who are already in New York, those kids are staying in school and their wives are staying at their house. But if they don't have children or if they have little children, babies, then they probably do.
Shout out to all the wives of players out there that have families and kids and stuff like that. I mean, it is a full-time commitment. They really have their husband's home for 3 months out of the year. Not even like 2. It is a crazy level of commitment. Yeah. You can tell. I don't ever fault the wives of players when the players are hinting at retirement and the wife is pushing them to retire. I don't remotely fault those wives. I don't.
Yeah. Yeah. But then what usually happens when a man retires and he's home all the time, they're like,
get him out.
Can't you find something to do?
Yep. That's exactly how it works.
Because that's what happened when my dad retired. My mom was like, yeah, I'm going to need you to start doing things because I can't have you around here. You're just, no, it's too much. So, yeah.
Yep.
But thank you for that question, Julie. I think Julie asked us a question a few weeks ago. I can't remember what it was about, but I think it's funny that we have wives of insiders involved in our show now.
Get more wives answering questions. We got you.
Yeah, and more of you. Join the Locked On Yankees Insiders Club. We're going to come up with some things for you to get more exclusive either items, or maybe we'll do private streams for just the insiders. We can do that. That would be
More
an
stuff's
interesting
coming.
thing to do during the season. So if you are a current insider, let us know what you think we should do. Like, think of an idea for us to do that would be more of an incentive for other people to join the club. And also tell us why you like being an insider so we could tell everyone else why you like being insiders so they'll join. So thank you for making Locked On Yankees your first listen today. For your second listen, find Locked On MLB. Baseball guru Sully brings you a daily blend of humor and baseball. He keeps you updated on every rumor and story throughout the season. You can find Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcasts. So that'll do it for this Fan Mail Friday edition of Locked On Yankees. I'm Stacey Gotsoulias.
And I'm Brian McKeon. We'll catch you guys on Monday.